Hello and welcome to the FPL Scope, and my name is Mathias, I forgot to say that, and I'm here today with Kevin. It's been a while since Kevin and I were on a podcast together, but here we are. Kevin, you're back. It's a new FPL season. How excited are you for this season and the pricing so far of the players? What do you feel about that?
Couldn't care less. It's because FPL is such a source of frustration. Premier League is a source of frustration for any self-respecting Evertonian. So I'm ready for another year of disappointment on both ends. But pricing has actually been surprisingly good, as last year was in some sense. So yeah, I've liked a lot of the changes to positioning. I think that's been very vital as well. Listing Jota as a mid and all this type of stuff. It'll be quite fun to mix things around. Of course, in classic FPL fashion, they have screwed up certain players' positioning and etc. But it's okay. I think I'm very excited to see how things go. I think there's going to be a lot of template drafts, which will be annoying to see because I think a lot of consensus is to go with Trent over Salah. So once we go into our squads, I think people will get to see that we haven't gone so template after all.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of template squads. I'm actually doing a video right after this that's going to be posted before this video, actually. And that's going to be like the experts template. So Twitter, like on official FPL on Twitter, posted like a thread of like 27 different content creators and their squads. And I went through all the squads and checked out which players they picked. So through all the 27 squads, like I said, Salah was picked in only 2 of them and Trent was picked in like 24 of them. So there's like a certain template, especially amongst content creators, that's been setting so far. But speaking of the template team, we have an FPL guide out, as we've done the last, I think it's like 6 years now, 5 or 6 years. We posted like an FPL guide in the summer, me and you. Where you've helped me with some player reviews. You've done that yourself as well. We're probably going to make another video at some point with all the player reviews so you can go more in depth into all the new players. Maybe there's some players in your team right now that are new. We'll get to see eventually. But yeah, so anyone can check out the guide. It's at thevideoscope.com/FPL guide, as you can see on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. So yeah, please check out everything in there. And yeah, Kevin is mostly in charge of the player reviews. Most of the player reviews are by Kevin. And now it seems like Jurgen Timber is about to join Arsenal, and we're going to post a review of that pretty soon on the guides, because the guide is continuously updated. So just give us like a quick preview of what you expect from Timber with Arsenal and how it affects like all the defenders as well for Arsenal, because they had like a sort of like a certain backline that they had nailed, but now with Timber coming in, you expect him to start, I assume.
I have no idea, to be completely honest, because the issue with Timber, it's not an issue per se. It says a lot about his versatility. He can play center back and right back. 2 other players at Arsenal can play center back and right back, and that's Tomiyasu and Benny Blanco, Ben White. So I I'm not 100% understanding why they brought him in. Maybe it's because they are planning on maybe realizing that Tomiyasu's too injury prone and they might consider selling him. And if that's the case, he's a beautiful signing. But if they have all 3, I get it. They want to do the Manchester City thing of having a strong squad with now Champions League play and etc. And he is very talented. Don't get me wrong. I just feel that he's just another player in the same position. And as you said, will he start? I mean, he won't start over Saliba. He won't start over um,
Gabriel?
Gabriel. And even though Gabriel has been sort of on and off for me throughout the season, I still think he's going to cement himself as the second starting center back. And I think it's really unfair to Benny Blanco after the season that he's had to be relegated to the bench after a very strong season in a position that he's not actually that comfortable with, but he made it his own. So Timber is great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's very quick. He's versatile in the sense that he can play both positions with zero fault. But it's just a question of maybe they just tried to make sure that Man United and some of these other teams didn't get him first, and I get it. And but it's a struggle for me considering the fact that they have so many players in the same position.
Yeah, I think it's mostly, for me, I think it's mostly the fact that they saw Saliba going down with an injury and then their team just completely messed up everything.
Of course,
I think they just want to have that extra backup just in case. And I think currently, because if you go into the guide as well, you can see the expected starting lineups for all 20 teams, including Arsenal. And I've actually added Timber as the right back there, so he knocks off Benny Blanco. But I think Ben White is going to get a lot of chances as well. They obviously have Champions League to play. Hopefully they make, or hopefully for Arsenal fans at least, they make a better cup run, both in the FA Cup and the League Cup as well. So they're likely to have a lot more matches this time around than they had last season. And last season they pretty much had the same 11 every single time. So I think there might be some more rotation this season with Arteta, but still, he didn't even rotate last season. I think we're both pretty big fans of Fabio Vieira, and he didn't get to play at all, basically. Like, never really got like a chance to prove himself. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Arteta learns from his mistakes, because I felt like they sort of ran out of steam last season. It was not just the Saliba injury that made them struggle. It's just they played the same team over and over and over again, and you could see players like Saka were super tired and stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
But either way, we both know Arsenal are going to win the league this season because they are signing Declan Rice. So they have everything in the bank already, so they don't have anything to worry about. But yeah, rest in peace, Declan Rice at West Ham. I'm going to miss you. But anyways, he's not going to be in my FPL team still, even though he moves to Arsenal, but he might be in yours. Probably not. But we're going to move on to our latest drafts, because I'm sure you've made a couple drafts as well. I've probably made more than you, but but yeah, you seem pretty certain with your team. And yeah, we're going to go in order of like magnitude of this team. So the first pick for you is going to be the player that you are the most sure about having in your squad. And I sort of have a guess about where you're going to go with this. But yeah, take it away. Who's your number one pick and why, Kevin?
Okay.
The most nailed player.
In all seriousness, okay, I'm not even trolling. It's Jordan Pickford.
No.
It's Erling Haaland. Come on, man.
Yeah,
he broke the goal scoring record.
Of course.
He's an auto captain. This is the easiest since maybe Van Persie, Cristiano Ronaldo days, where you have an auto captain, and Luis Suarez that one season where you just had someone who's so dependable and easy to captain. Because even when he plays like 20 minutes, he'll score a brace and stuff like that, and all this type of crazy things. So yeah, people are like, oh, what price would you not pick Haaland for? And I'll be honest, I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
Like if he had been 17 mil, I probably still would have found a way to make sure to have him. So Haaland's such an auto pick for me at number one.
Yeah, 85% owned from everyone. So if he bangs like we expect him to, and you don't have him, you were going to fall right behind from the very start. So yeah, let's move on to your second pick. This I'm quite interested to hear this actually. So who is your second most important player?
My second pick is Mohamed Salah, actually.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. We seem to be much higher on Salah this season than most people, because he's always been like a super like nailed on pick every season. But now that Haaland's come in, he sort of doesn't have the same like captaincy allure like he had before. But why are you so certain in Salah and having him as your second pick? Like, why are you so certain Salah's gonna be worth the price?
Let me put it this way. Salah for me is someone who's consistently performed since he came back to the Premier League. This was his down year, and he got 90 goals and 13 assists in FPL standings. So why wouldn't I back him still? You know, and I think the fact that it's Champions League, that there's no way for them to play the Champions League this season is also going to be a huge factor to why I think he'll do better in the Prem. He, like many other players, suffered from the World Cup being mid-season, and that's maybe why he had a dip and all this type of stuff. So there's a lot less distractions. I don't even know if he'll play the Europa League matches until when he has to, when it's like quarterfinals, semifinals, and all this type of stuff, when Klopp decides whether he wants to win it or not. So for me, I think this is going to be any season for Salah. And considering the fact that he had a down season, he's usually the type to sort of raise his game. So yeah, I'm pretty sold on Salah. I think there's more value in him than there is in Trent, who's 8 million. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Don't really have much to say about that. He scored 239 points last season, and like you said, it's a down year. So Salah is just amazing. So I totally understand why you're so certain of Salah. But moving on to number 3, who's your third most important player so far, or third most nailed player in your squad so far?
This is gonna this is gonna sound like a crazy one, but no, I can't pick him as my third player. I'm gonna go with. And this wasn't the player that I was doubting, by the way, because I'm about to say Stupinian, which would have been a bit crazy.
Not
But
so crazy.
it's Bukayo Saka
Yeah,
for me.
that's what I
Yeah,
expected. He's another one of your guys. But yeah, Saka.
yeah,
Just quickly about Saka as well.
yeah. I mean, 14 goals and 12 assists. Definitely, like we mentioned, or you spoke about a little bit earlier, the fact that he sort of had a dip in form considering everything that was going on. But it wasn't just him; it was pretty much everyone except for Martin Odegaard, who was just brilliant throughout, or a bit more consistent. He still got 14 goals and 12 assists. So for me, Bukayo Saka is more nailed on than ever. I still think we haven't even reached prime Saka or anything like that. This is still a guy in his early 20s, just showing what he's got. So the fact that he's on penalties, the fact that they didn't actually overprice him way more than I thought
Yeah,
they were going to do. Because like some people thought he'd be in the tens or
yeah,
even like 9.5 at the cheapest. So 8.5 being the same price as Martin and just five more than Martinelli. Yeah, I think he's pretty nailed on 8.5, especially due to the fact that he does take a lot of penalties. And with Declan Rice, with the addition of Timber, with the addition of, a healthy Gabriel Jesus as well, I think Arsenal are going to play a lot better too. They had too many injuries towards the end of the season, which basically derailed their whole Premier League campaign. So, but yeah, I think Saka is very nailed on in
yeah.
my team.
Fair enough. You mentioned Estupinian. Is he your next pick, or is it someone else?
I mean, a part of me is wondering whether I got to go with what these stupid Manchester United fanboys call them, but it's got to be Marcus Rashford, Star Boy, as they called him, even though he's turning 26 or 27. That's usually something they say for someone who's like 18. So what they're actually calling Garnacho, but yeah, I think Rashford's got to be there. He's had a huge season. It's just gonna develop from here, especially considering the fact that I think Ten Hag started the season very strong last year, and I think it's going to be the same now that Rashford sort of had that. I don't know what you can call it, but he sort of had his purple patch.
Yeah,
Um, he sort of had the fame and claim and all that type of stuff, like the spotlight on him, and he shined throughout. So yeah, I think Rashford is pretty nailed on in my team.
yeah. Only question with Rashford is a lot of people have gone for Bruno Fernandes instead, who's 0.5 cheaper. Is that something you're considering as well, or is it just purely Rashford? Or what do you make of the Rashford versus Fernandes debate that's sort of brewing? Because it feels like to me that in amongst like content creators, they go with Fernandes, but I think Rashford is much higher when it comes to total ownership in terms of just general manager. So yeah, what makes you go with Rashford rather than Fernandes? And is it like a competition between those guys, or are you like sure it's going to be Rashford rather than Fernandes?
I mean, of course, it's always tempting considering that one is cheaper than the other and all this type of stuff. But for me, Rashford has more to gain and Bruno has more to lose because of Mason Mount, essentially. So for me, Rashford, if they don't buy a striker and stuff like that, they will very likely deploy him either left wing or striker, right? Depending what happens to Anthony Martial as well. Um, but when it comes to Bruno's is very much like Pogba. Pogba's downfall at United was the fact that he's so versatile because he went from getting to play at cam and right wing when he got 4 assists and then being like, you know what, you are actually traditionally trained as a CDM, play at CDM, and then FPL value and whatever his own value at Man United went down, even though he did a really good job. And I think that's the same with Bruno. Bruno is amazing at cam, Bruno's also a decent CDM. Bruno is also a really good CM. Bruno's good at left wing, good at right wing. Could easily play probably as a false nine as well. But due to his versatility, I think that will introduce him to be playing like a deep lying playmaker rather
Mm.
than the advanced positioning, which makes Mason Mount an interesting option, definitely, because he's only 7 million, just like the shirt of this number 7. He's so cursed. Anyways, um, I still think Rashford has more to gain than Bruno because of that. However, Bruno's on penalties, which is a bit annoying considering the fact that it used to be Rashford, then went back to
Yeah.
Bruno, and now it's staying with Bruno as well. So yeah, I mean, remains to see if Harry Kane joins United, then everything changes. Then I'm definitely going Harry Kane over Rashford. Rashford becomes this says a lot about how nailed Rashford is because I'm saying the minute Harry Kane goes to the club, I'm like, yeah, dash him, dash everyone. So if they somehow get Victor Osimhen or some
Rasmus
world
Højlund
class
is like the
striker,
latest they're linked with.
I love Rasmus, but the thing about Højlund is he's still very unproven and all this type of stuff. So
Yeah.
he wouldn't be enough for me to go dash Rashford. But if
Um,
Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen, or even like a Paulo Dybala, then I'd be like, maybe some things need to
yeah.
change.
I mean,
But for the time being, current affairs, yeah, Rashford's quite nailed at number 4.
yeah. I mean, Højlund is at least an upgrade over Weghorst, so it's going to be something better than what they had last year. But yeah, I think sort of the same as well. It's going to be interesting to see in preseason how they line up with Mount or Fernandes, because Mount could play as CM as well. So maybe Fernandes is still playing further ahead. But it seemed like you said, Ten Hag really liked playing Fernandes in that deeper playmaking role that he did when Casemiro was out. So yeah, I think that's going to be something interesting to watch. But moving on to your next player, is the final time for our Colombian hero.
I, I think it is. Yeah, I guess so.
And
Yeah, I
it's
gotta.
not even Colombian, it's Ecuadorian, but
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah,
What are those yellow?
yeah, yellow flag countries.
Yeah,
It's Falcao.
uh,
Let's go.
yeah,
No, as soon as I said it, I
uh,
was just like, that's wrong. That's not.
yeah. Because he I was like, Eder Valencia is not
Ecuador.
Colombian, so I was just like, okay.
But yeah,
But yeah, you know what? Yes, I think I'll go with Estupinian.
Estupinian. It seems like he's like your most nailed defender at least. It's like he's
Oh,
like in
100%.
yeah.
1 goal, 7 assists. The 7 assists could have easily been double digits, considering the
Yeah.
fact that he just kept creating chances. It reminded me of when Robertson used to be good at football. So yeah, I can always do a dig at Robbo,
Yeah.
piece of shit. Anyways, Estepinian, there's just so much that there's so much potential there. There's so much like the fact that he only scored 1 goal shocks me. Like I don't know if it's like a Mandela effect where I'm remembering him doing more than he did, but yeah, I'm quite shocked to see that it was only 8 goal contributions. So it's going to be way higher with the Serbi style of play, and I think yes, some people are like, oh, is them being in Europe gonna change anything and etc. But for me, it's just the sky's the limit with Brighton right now. It's just to show now that it wasn't a 1 season wonder, that they are actually building something over there. So yeah, I think Estupinan is just fantastic.
Yeah.
He is like having a deep lying playmaker from left back. So
Yeah.
don't you dare make the Leighton Baines comparison because he's nothing compared to Leighton Baines, but he's a very cheeky option, and for 5.0,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like a nailed
I
option.
mean, he's the second highest owned player in the whole game right now behind Holland. So
Yeah.
you share your admiration for him with a lot of FPL managers, me included. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's a nail on pick for sure. Next one.
A bit controversial here,
Okay.
but I love him. I love him. I've been singing his praises for a long time now, but it's Christopher Nkunku. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna. I hate Maurizio Pochettino. A, because he mismanaged Messi. B, because he's an Espanol piece of shit. And I was about to say something stronger. C, when I was at the Derby, the Barcelona, It was Guardiola versus Poch. He managed to get a draw in the 90th minute, which completely derailed Barcelona's chance of winning the league. So fuck him. So, yeah. But all these things considered, I think Nkunku is so much better than some of these recent signings that they've done. You know, the Timo Werners of the world and
Yeah.
etc. I just think he's just world class. A part of me thinks that if he was injury free for the World Cup, that might have been the difference to make sure France wins it. Because
Yeah.
I just, that is just how much belief I have in him. He's
Mhm.
just ambidextrous. He can do everything. I wrote a very in detail
Yeah.
player review about him,
I was just
and
about to say, like, you had a really glowing review for Nkunku, and you said that already before the season. You said even that, like, if he's 9.0, he's nailed in my team, and he's 7.5 now. So yeah,
yeah,
it makes sense that he's in your team.
yeah. I mean, it remains to see how Chelsea are going to play, but consider the fact that um, Mauricio Pochettino normally plays a 4-2-3-1. That is perfect for Nkunku as well. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of it will be built around him. So he's a penalty taker, he's a free kick taker. He does it. He does everything. And now with Mason Mount gone as well, yeah, I think Nkunku is going to be a very interesting pick.
Yeah, for sure. Sort of disappointing that he's not listed as a midfielder because I think we're both
Yes, 100%.
expect him to play in that number 10 role. So that might
Yeah.
hamper him a bit because he's only going to get 4 points for a goal, even though he's going to play as midfielder. But
Yes.
yeah, still 7.5 is such an amazing price. So if he just lives up to his potential, if he doesn't do what Werner did and stuff, which we expect because Nkunku is way better than Werner and even Havertz as well. Yeah, I think he's going to hit the ground running as well. It's just the first two matches for me that's making me sort of iffy about him. They play Liverpool and then they play my own West Ham, I think, in the second round, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, after that, I'm definitely considering him myself. But yeah, Nkunku is a great shout. Next one for you. You're getting quite an expensive squad now, so I'm expecting a lot of cheap players coming up. But yeah, 43.5 left on 9 players.
Yeah, I think the next player is simply due to how nailed on they are.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what, screw it. Let's am I really gonna say this? I guess I am. I'm saying Brian Mbuemo.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, you know, a goal and assist shy from having double digits in both departments is very, very good. Blessed to be listed as a midfielder this year because he was a striker last year,
Yeah.
right? Very stupid. Wasn't a big fan of that because I probably could have at the time of Mbuemo and Tony's like mega days. Most of us would have probably had both. So I'm glad that Mbuemo's listed as a midfielder, especially now that Tony's banned forever. So yeah, I obviously it'll be remains to see whether Wissa or Mbuemo gets to really play as the actual number 9. But I know that Mbuemo's going to be taking free kicks, penalties, and everything like that. So for me, I think it's a fun uh, little player to have. 6.5. Sky's the limit. Really good first 10, I would say. Like, yes,
Yeah.
Spurs' first game isn't great,
Is
but
it
they are
though?
playing at home. Exactly.
I'm very interested in that game because I think Postecoglou started off really poorly with Celtic as well, and he's super attacking. And we know
Yeah,
Brentford, the past few seasons, they beat Arsenal at their first game back in the Premier League 2-0 2 years ago. Last season,
yeah,
they beat Man United 4-0. They beat Liverpool last year 3-0. They beat City twice. They're a
exactly.
they're a giant killer. So I think that first game is actually
They've beaten
sneakily really
Spurs
good.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at their first 10 even, they play Man United, they play Newcastle and Chelsea away. Um, but the rest, anything can happen. And I like it. At 6.5, you can easily grow,
Yeah.
get some value and all this type of stuff. So for me, yeah, I think Mbuemo's a nice little player.
Yeah, he's quite popular as well. I think he's like top 5 midfielders in terms of popularity as well in the game. So yeah, a lot of people saw that he was amazing in the absence of Ivan Toney, because we should mention that as well. Ivan Toney is not going to play until next year, so Mbeumo has always stepped up, and like you said, he's on penalties. Most likely, there's some rumors that Wissa might be on penalties as well, but yeah, he was amazing when Tony didn't play last season. I think he had 5 goals and 2 assists in the 5 matches that Tony didn't play last season, which is amazing. 9 points per match in FPL when Tony didn't play, so outstanding pick as well. Next pick for you.
I'm gonna have to go with Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw, 5.5, 31.5 left with 7 players to pick. It's going to be interesting to see. But yeah.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw. Why?
I think the best thing to say about Luke Shaw is simply he was amazing for everyone except me, because I never had him during that period of when he was getting like 15 points and all this crap. But he's clearly found new life under Ten Hag, and this is a guy who's always rumored on the way out, and ever since his heroics at the Euros, it seems like his career has completely gone upwards. So yeah, I think I'm expecting big things from Luke Shaw, especially at 5.5. I feel it's a reasonable price. Man United's first couple of games, look good. Arsenal away is never easy, but that's game week 4. Things can change by then, and etc. So yeah, to start the season, I think Luke Shaw is a good pick. It's just a question of what happens to Luke Shaw, because they still have their injuries that they're going through, and etc. and Maguire and potentially leaving the club and stuff. And like if Luke Shaw does a too good job at center back, he might just stay at center back and then have Malacia play at left back or Lisandro Martinez. But I doubt it. I think we'll still see Shaw doing English Roberto Carlos bullshit. So yeah, you know what? I think it's Luke Shaw. I would have picked the next person over Luke Shaw. But
yeah,
I can't trust Pep.
Go ahead.
I can't trust Pep. It's obviously John Stones, because
is he one of your picks, or is it someone you would have picked rather than Shaw?
No, he is my next pick, but yes. I would normally.
How can you afford this? I'm starting to wonder.
Okay, we'll look into it.
1, 2, 3, 4,
I have the completed team.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You have 26. Well, you have 6 players left actually. 26 million for 6 players, so bargain bin for the rest of the way, I think. But yeah, Stones, you said you almost picked him ahead of Shaw, but you're afraid of Pep Roulette. He didn't start the first match last season and played 16 minutes in the second match. That's sort of why I'm put off by him, but I certainly see the upside. But yeah, why are you trusting Stones and Pep?
I think Stones has cemented himself as like City legend at this point with some of the stuff that he's been doing lately, and I think he ended the season so strong last year that Pep has to recognize that, and I think that's why. And I think it's kind of wild, but we might live to see John Stones play at CDM. So
yeah.
If he's getting to play matches at CDM and still listed as a center back, then job well done for everyone who picked him. And that's mainly it. And I think I like Stones over Shaw in terms of when it comes to them actually playing and all this type of stuff. But Shaw is more nailed than Stones, because anything can happen with Pep. My biggest concern is if Guardiola comes as well. Yeah. And that's Guardiola and Ruben Diaz nailed at center back. So that's why Stones is so low compared to some of the other picks. But I think the upside of Manchester City is so high, and they have a good schedule as well.
Agreed. I think Stones is really alluring, but it's just the Pep Roulette thing. I don't want to start the season off that way, but yeah, we'll get to my team eventually. But yeah, 26 million left for 6 players, so it's mostly going to be the bottom of the barrel. I know you like to do the no bench type of squad where you only have the lower end of the pricing table for your final few picks. But yeah, who's your next pick? Is it the goalkeeper, or is it someone else?
It's Botman.
Botman, fair enough. 4.5. Defender. So what do you make of Botman? And yeah, just go.
He would have been a lot higher in my list, because I think 4.5 for one of the most talented center backs, and one of the most nailed center backs in the game to be 4.5 in a Newcastle United defense that was so good last year is crazy. I thought he was one of the, like for me, an automatic pick for price rise, like a significant one, like 5.0 or 5.5 sort of thing. But yeah, he's at 4.5. Trippier has been shit for the last like I don't know 2 months. In the sense of
Yeah.
like in FPL, his
I mean, Botman was as well,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, sure. But Trippier was completely at fault for a lot of the goals that they conceded. And with the crazy, absolute ridiculous purchase of Sandro Tonali as well. I think Trippier is going to lose some of the set piece taking because Tonali's really good at corners and really good at free kicks as well, which makes the allure of having Trippier at 6.5, right?
Yeah,
Quite
6.5.
significantly less considering the fact that Botman's 2 million cheaper. So
Mm.
for me, I think Botman would have been a lot higher on this list than priorities and stuff, but I do not like their first 5 games. So
Yeah.
I think there might be a rotation going with Botman and one of the other defenders that I have in my team.
Yeah, we'll see. Is that your next pick, your last defender, or is it someone else?
Nah, it's still going to be my goalkeeper, my number one in many ways because I tried to pick him at number one and he told me to fuck off. So it's Jordan Pickford.
Yeah. Your number one.
Yeah, my number one. So
Or
much
number
bias
11.
there.
Last man on the team sheet. You have 11
How
players
many?
now. But yeah, Pickford, he's very popular amongst like the more seasoned like content creators, FPL experts, if you will. He's not as, I think it's like the third highest percentage in terms of goalkeepers. I think Ramsdale and Areola are ahead of him. But yeah, what do you like about Pickford apart from the fact that he plays for your favorite team?
I like the opening games actually.
Yeah.
Like I like that there's so many home games for us to start the season, and some of these teams, granted, beat the shit out of us last year and all this type of stuff. But like I think storms are coming. I think there's going to be a change. I think now that Sean Dyche has been there as long as he has, I think he'll get the um, season going in a good way. And I think, Fulham at home, Aston Villa away, Wolves at home, Sheffield United away, Arsenal at home, Brentford away, Luton at home, Bournemouth at home. There's a lot of good matches there. And for 4.5 and Pickford, raising his game as of the last month or so of the Premier League season, etc. Yeah, I think it's a decent shout. I think it's also a way so I can afford my entire team because my team is super expensive. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the worst pick.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it remains to see what happens with our defense because if Brantwaite and Tarkowski play together, I think it will be a really good
Mm-hmm.
partnership because we obviously didn't go for Connor Cody and we could have got him for 4.5 and Leicester bought him for 7.5. But it's because Everton want to get Jack Harrison, Wilfried Yonto, and we're even looking at Rodrigo. So we want basically all Leeds players. So
Players that just got relegated. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll
players,
bloody see. Yeah.
Yeah, you have 17 million left, so that leaves exactly the minimum amount for every single position. So who's the first guy for the lowest price that you're gonna get?
It's that uh
This
it's
is the
Mr. Bell, I believe.
Bell in defense.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's your preferred 4.0 defender.
He is, yeah.
Okay. How come? Is it just the price and nailed onness, or?
Nailed on this price and also pretty decent first 10 as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect Luton to go down, but
Yeah.
if they were to catch a purple patch, this is the way to do it because their first 10 isn't it's not easy, but it's not hard as well. So yeah, I think he's nailed. I think second would be Areola because
Yeah. A
a
real in
lot
the
of
goal.
a lot of people, even you included,
West Ham
expect
fans.
expect Areola to finally be the number
I
one.
think so. I mean, David Moyes is super stubborn, and you complained all last season that Oriola should start ahead of Fabianski, but I think this is finally going to be the year. But I'm going to pay attention to. I know that ex WHU employee guy on Twitter. He's usually has insights and stuff. So I'm going to see if he has any insights if Oriola is going to be the league goalkeeper now, because people have said that that might be the change now that Oriola is the goalkeeper in the league and Fabianski is going to be the cup keeper from now on. But it remains to be seen. But I think Areola, if he starts 4.0, that's amazing. I think he's a much better goalkeeper than Danny Ward was last season for the same price. So yeah, I think that's a great price for him as well. But you could have gone with, because the backup goalkeeper for Everton is 4.0 as well, whether that's Virginia or Lonergan. It seems like it's Virginia. That's the Joao Virginia or Virginia. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but yeah, is that someone you're considering? Is that like who you're going to go to if it's known that Fabianski is still the starting goalkeeper for West Ham?
Potentially, because I'm still confused on whether Pickford will end up actually at United or not. I mean, it seems like they went with Onana,
Yeah, seems
so
pretty certain.
seems like Pickford's gonna, you know, stay at the club. But if someone else comes knocking, there's a lot of potential. I also really like Flecken, who
Yeah.
we haven't really spoken about, but I really like him too. So goalkeepers can change very
Yeah.
easily, but I think if Areola gets the nod, then 100% he's going to be my backup goalkeeper.
Or your
He's
starting
very.
goalkeeper maybe. Would you go
Let's not
with
take the. Let's not
4.0
take the piss. Let's not take the
double
piss.
4.0
Let's not
goalkeepers?
take the piss. Let's
No,
not take the
tried
piss.
that last year. I tried that last year at Ward and Everson, and didn't work out that well. But yeah,
Also, how good is West Ham's schedule? Because I didn't really
it's not the
take that
best to
into.
start the season.
Yeah, so maybe not Areola. Let's to start by as my starting
Yeah,
goalkeeper.
we'll see. But yeah, you mentioned Onana. If Onana is priced at 5.0, which he might be because that was De Gea's price last season, is he potentially your starting goalkeeper? Would you potentially move out Shaw and then put Onana in goal instead, for example?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct. That is very likely what
because you
I'll
could
do.
save like
Because
$1 million there, or 0.5 at least, if you do Tarkovsky for Shaw and then Onana in goal, or if you want to do just another 5.0 defender, because there's a lot of good value defenders. But yeah, so you'd likely go with Onana if he's 5.0.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I really like Andre Onana. It's
same.
okay. Some people when they come to the Prem decide to stink straight away. So if he does that, oops. But nah, I think he'd do really well. So for me, yeah, I'm a bit confused why they didn't just re-sign De Gea, because De Gea finished the season really strong. I mean, he is the current Golden Glove winner. So,
Yeah,
but okay, whatever. Too many mistakes in the past, and he does make he is mistake prone. So
yeah.
I get it, and he probably wanted more wages than that. But hell, if he wants to make his way to Merseyside, he's more than welcome.
Fair enough. Pickford going someone else, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have two players
And
left, a midfielder and an attacker. You need to pay 4.5 for each of them. So who are you picking first, and which player is it?
it's going to be Sasa Lukic. I'm not even joking.
Sasa Lukic. That's the first time I've seen him mentioned. But yeah, for Fulham, 4.5. He could easily start.
No, but
Potentially, he started a couple games last season, but yeah, he's not in the projected starting lineup in the guide. But I think he's amongst like the top 3 contenders for the starting 11. But yeah, why Lukic?
I really liked what I saw of him at Torino, so I'm very confused as to why he doesn't get to play more matches, because I thought he was signed as like a guaranteed starter. So when I saw that he basically never played, like our darling Orsic at Southampton, who never got to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's Eastern European. No, I'm just kidding. I think Lukic has so much more to offer, and I think at 4.5, someone to stash on the bench, because like Lukic is, second bench. Bell is my number one sub sort of thing, because he's so nailed on at 4.0. So yeah, Lukic is just someone to fill the void in my heart and also my bench.
Fair enough. You only have one position left, and that is the striker for 4.5. Oh, a lot of people have been struggling with that. Actually, I managed to mess it up now. Let's see if I can get it back. Nope.
Destroyed.
Either way, you're going to pick a 4.5 attacker. This is not the correct team, but anyways, yeah. Let's just go to my squad now. Who's the final attacker for you? 4.5.
John McAtee.
McAtee, okay. Another Luton guy. Why is he like your preferred pick in your team?
I thought I read a rumor that he plays a lot. I don't know. I have no idea who he is.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can't remember.
Could you suggest a better for? Listen, my 4.5, if he stays in the Premier League, is Balogun for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100% it's going to be Balogun, especially if he stays. Or if he somehow gets to play for Arsenal, 100% in my team.
Yeah.
I might as well just put Balogun, but it's the fact that he's listed as an Arsenal player that is the frustrating thing.
Yeah, I'm frantically trying to add your team again because I'm going to have some comments on it. But yeah, sure. Personally, what do you feel is like the biggest weak link in your team? Like which player is the one that you wish you could have afforded or wish you could have had in your team?
If I'm being realistic, Harry Kane.
Yeah,
but I have no money for that,
yeah,
so nope.
I tried to do like a whole on Salah Kane sort of thing, and it's not doable really. It's well, it is doable, but it's severely hampered.
If Trent hauls, it's gonna bite me in the ass. I think it's annoying that I don't have enough space for Eze, someone who I hyped up like crazy last year.
Yeah, that's an interesting name.
I think Chelsea are always like such a random up and down in the sense of like Reece James, especially because they got lowered prices this year.
Yeah,
it's very tempting. Stones could potentially become Reece James.
Yeah,
very much so.
Sure.
Especially if I see some preseason magic where he's like, "Oh, Reece James scored a 30-yard screamer." Okay, straight in my team. But yeah, it's just sort of outlier players like that. But I think, generally speaking, I have a lot of similar players to other managers. It's just the Nkunku might be a bit of a risky pick.
Yeah. So I frantically added back your squad now. It should look fine. Yeah, it looks fine on the stream as well. Yeah, I think McAtee. I think you're just confusing him with the McAtee at Man City, who went on loan, I think, to Sheffield United last season. Because I think for Luton, it's pretty nailed on that it's going to be Carlton Morris and Elijah Adebayo up front. Like, those two guys are really nailed. Luton, for some reason, have like 6 different players listed as forward, but I feel like there's only 2 really interesting players there. But yeah, but in general, if I'm just going to comment on your team, I think that's sort of like your weak link. It's a testament to your team, I guess, because I think your bench players or like your fodder players could be better, like pretty much all around. So I have a couple of suggestions if you'd like to hear, because some of them are in my team and some are not. But
go ahead. So
for goalkeeper, I'm fine. Areola is the best backup goalkeeper so far. If he starts West Ham, he's 100% nailed as the 4.0 goalkeeper. But like I said, you could have the Everton backup if Areola doesn't play. But so far, Areola is fine. Bell, I think he's a fine pick. I think he's still going to be pretty nailed for Luton. They did sign like a Danish player, Mats Andersen, who came from like League 1, I think. Was like a captain for, I think it was Rotherham or something. And I think the manager said that like, oh, he'll be good competition for Amari Bell's position sort of thing. So like, he's not as nailed as you'd think. And I think there are better alternatives for 4.0 that I'm actually going to mention in my own team. So I won't spoil that. But I have 2 4.0 defenders in my own team that are not Bell. So yeah, we'll get to that eventually for my team. Then 4.5, this is actually a player that I don't have in my own squad, but this is like my favorite little cheeky 4.5 pick, and that is Chiquinho for Wolverhampton. So he joined in January of 2022. Yeah, January 2022 he joined from somewhere, Porto, some Portuguese club, I think. And he played actually like a little bit for Wolves and got an assist or something. He got a goal, I think, as well. Like he looked pretty good on the wing for them. But then he got injured. He got like an ACL injury in the summer. So he didn't play at all last season. And that's why he's 4.5. But I think he has a decent chance of playing because I think Podence is leaving. Adama Traore is gone. There's a lot of players that have left Wolverhampton, and it's really hard to know who's going to start for them. But I think Chiquinho has like a decent chance of playing, and I think he has been fully fit for like most of the summer as well. So I don't think he's going to be taking that much time before he's like ready to play. So I think he's like a decent option for 4.5. That said, there's not that many good 4.5 midfielders at all. Like I said earlier, McAtee, I mentioned the City guy. He's a 4.5 midfielder who might be good because he might be loaned out back to Sheffield United and might play. Same with Tommy Doyle as well, who took free kicks for Sheffield United. He might be another good 4.5 midfielder. So I think like your backup players will be better eventually in the season. As far as the striker goes, I don't think there's like a 4.5 pick that is worth anything really, except for Balogun, like you said. If he stays in the Premier League, he might, but it feels like it's going to go abroad if he's going to leave. I think they put like a 50 million price tag on him, but yeah, I think Balogun is like the number one choice there. I don't really feel like any of the other 4.5 attackers are that good. Let me just see quickly the list of 4.5 attackers. Surge is not going to play. Semenyo is someone that people have mentioned, but I don't think he's going to usurp Solanke. Sims is obviously already leaving for Coventry. He's not an option. Archer looked really good for England in the under-21s, but Watkins is going to play pretty much every game there. But if Watkins gets injured, Archer is really interesting. But the thing with Archer is I think he's like quite popular, and he's going to be sold when people want to buy in a third striker and stuff. So I think he's going to go down in price. So that's why I'm sort of off when it comes to him. But yeah, not that many good picks there. I think Divine Mubama for West Ham has a potential chance to play, but under Moyes, most likely not. So yeah, apart from that, the weak links that I see in your team, in terms of your players, I don't really have that many faults with it. I think Botman, like you said, tough matches, not 100% sure about his attacking potential, but he's 4.5 and he's pretty much like your best 4.5 defender, especially if you don't want to pick Ahmed Hodzic, who's a former Malmö scum. I know you don't like former Malmö players. I think he, or either him or Tarkowski might be the other 4.5, or another player, Destiny Udogie. If he starts for Spurs, he's 4.5. I think he might be a better option than Botman. Potentially not from the start of the season, though. But I think he's like a decent option for 4.5. Other than that, Stones, I'm not 100% sure of that, but I really like the upside, so I don't mind it at all as a pick. And then it's just the lack of Arsenal players. You only have Saka really from Arsenal, which, considering their fixtures, Nottingham Forest, they have Luton I think in the third match. They're pretty easy fixtures. That seems a bit risky, but yeah, those are like the only things that I have to say about your team, or nitpick about your team, because it's very similar to mine, as we'll get to see now. But yeah, so I gotta remove all the players. Don't worry about the players. There's no specific reason why they are there. Nothing is spelled out or anything. But let's just remove all the players. Edward, Schlupp, Watson. These are not my actual players. Not considering, well, NDI I'm actually considering slightly, but anyways, yeah, I'll let you guess the first pick. I think you know already.
Jordan Pickford,
exactly. No, it is my Norwegian brother Haaland. Don't really have to say much about these picks. You've already explained, and I put my comments in. So yeah, Haaland is the number one pick for me. Yeah, he's pretty much 100% nailed in my team, regardless. For me, Saka as well, pretty much 100% nailed. I haven't really considered Odegaard at all. I have considered a bit Martinelli, but then that would be on top of having Saka rather than having him instead of Saka. So yeah, Saka makes sense for me. And again, like you, Rashford. I also prefer Rashford to Bruno, but I'm going to be interested to see, like I said, if Bruno plays further up the pitch or if it's Mount that plays further up the pitch. That's going to decide a lot. And if they sign a new striker. So Rashford is not nailed in that sense, but either Rashford or Bruno, I'm going to have one of them 100%. So that's why they're sort of nailed. Next guy is actually, like you said, Estepinian. Like I don't think it's ridiculous at all to have him that high. Like I think he's pretty much 100% nailed for me. I was such a big fan of him all last season. Expected way more points for him as well, considering how far up the pitch he was playing and stuff. So I think he was amazing. Next guy, this is actually a guy that I didn't mention that you didn't have, who I'm quite surprised you didn't have as well, but potentially not that surprised. But he's really popular and he's one of my favorites, Kaoru Mitoma. You didn't have him in your squad, but is he someone you're considering? You had Mbeumo for 6.5 instead. And yeah, I'll get to Mbeumo, but yeah. Have you considered Mitoma at all, or is he cursed for you or something?
It's not a question of cursed. I think it's just because I felt if I'm doing like a no bench thing, it has to be the strongest team, and that includes the defense. So if I make Stones into Tarkowski and switch, Pickford to someone or something like that, or etc., I could facilitate the move to Mitoma, and a part of me wants Mitoma as well. It's just a question of team balance at the end of the day. I mean, my draft is going to change. I completely understand why people have Mitoma. It's just a question of now how Mitoma will play, because Mitoma did have a dip in form. All of them sort of did in some sense, because Enciso all of a sudden is scoring goals. Then Dennis Undav is scoring goals. Then this guy is scoring goals. Then Bonanotte is out of nowhere someone important. So
and now they signed Joao Pedro as well. So
exactly. So there's a lot of, and he plays the same position as Mitoma. Not to say that Mitoma will ever get benched because of him, but hey, the Serbi benched everyone, so we'll see.
He's gonna rotate more, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, Mitoma is the first game against Luton at home. Like, I just feel like I need to have a Brighton player, and Mitoma is like the most nailed player for them, especially amongst like the most attacking players. And then they play West Ham in game week 3. I know the history of Brighton and West Ham; they always destroy us every single time. Mitoma last time had a goal and assist, I think. So yeah, I think those two matches alone is enough of a reason for me to go with Mitoma. Next person, again, same as you, Luke Shaw. I think he is pretty much nailed. I had him just at the wrong points of last season, like I did with most players. But yeah, that's one of my biggest regrets, not getting Luke Shaw in like game week, I think it was game week 18. I was considering him, and I didn't get him. And that was like probably my biggest mistake all season in terms of what happened afterwards with the transfers, because that made me do the Darwin or Kane to Darwin transfer that was disastrous, and yeah, it just messed up my whole season. But yeah, I think Shaw, even if he plays as a centre back, he's going to get a lot of bonus points, but he's most likely going to play as left back with Varane and Martinez in central defense. So yeah, Shaw for me is an amazing player. Again, Mbeumo, I'm still going to have him in my team. You know, I have Mitoma. So yeah, I think he's a really good player as well. Next player, this is another player you didn't have, and this is my favorite guy of all time almost, Gabriel Magalhaes. Like I said, it remains to be seen with Timber if he's going to be right back or if he's going to be centre back mostly. I still think Gabriel is going to be pretty nailed, but I could easily swap to Zinchenko or Saliba or any other Arsenal defender really. I just think Gabriel, with his attacking prowess, is someone that's really, really good. Like you, I did consider Stones. That's why Gabriel is sort of down in the list. But yeah, I think Gabriel, he's going to be nailed. I think he's going to be a huge like potential goal scoring guy. But yeah, that pretty much concludes like the players that I have like I'm pretty certain I'm going to have like those players, whether it's Rashford, Fernandes, or whether it's Gabriel or Zinchenko. I'm going to have like the players from these teams, and at least Haaland, Saka, Mitoma, probably Mbeumo, Estepinian and Shaw are all going to be in my team. I'm pretty certain about that. Things might change, but I think I'm pretty certain. So this is where I fill up the team a little bit with bench fodder. These guys are like, I'm pretty certain I'm going to keep them, but yeah, you never know. Again, there might be bench fodder that are better than them eventually. So this is where I come to the 4.0 defender guys, and the first guy is George Baldock for Sheffield United.
Fair.
He regained his starting position last season for Sheffield United, and what's actually really interesting that I looked up with Baldock, I don't know if it's on screen. Yeah, it is on screen here. As you can see, in his debut season in FPL, he got 142 points, and it's really interesting in terms of the pricing. We mentioned the prices at the start of the season. What price do you think he was at the start of 2021 after getting 142 points in his debut season?
No idea.
It's 5.5. I don't know if it's on the screen. Yeah, it's not.
Holy
It's not even.
crap.
It's not even showing up on the screen. But you can check it yourself. He was 5.5 to start the next season after getting 142 points in this first season. Just for reference, I think if you go to defenders, yeah, 142 points is not too bad actually. It's Ben Mee got 143 points. He's 5.0. Baldock was 5.5. So that says something about the pricing as well in FPL. But yeah, when it comes to Baldock, I think he is obviously a wingback, right wingback for Sheffield United. I'm thinking he's going to play most matches. So I think he is my preferred 4.0 option. And there's another 4.0 defender that I'm going to get to and talk about at least. But I'm going to tease it a little bit because I'm going to have someone else first. Because I have a couple other players that I'm going to choose between. But yeah, as my striker, like I said, I don't feel like there are any 4.5 forwards that are of interest apart from Balogun if he stays. So I just went with the guy with the best name, really. Let me see. I got to change the striker. And it is Uyo from Nottingham Forest. He's the striker I'm going with, and that's pretty much because he sounds like Fuyo, which is yeah. If you watched, can't even remember his name now, but you know who I'm talking about.
I do. Who's probably of a different country, but okay.
Yeah, of course, but Fuyo is still like the same.
Sure.
Same name. But yeah, keep forgetting his name now.
Racist.
I've already done the Colombia Ecuador thing, so yeah.
Yeah, it's already done. You already finished.
But that Norwegian guy Isak is not coming into my team, so
shut the. Okay. Anyways.
I went too far. But yeah, that's another bench option, and then obviously Areola as well. Like I said, he's also my bench goalkeeper. Still haven't picked my starting goalkeeper because I'm not sure about my starting goalkeeper yet either. I'm not sure about my final striker either, and I'm not sure about my final either midfielder or defender because this is the case. I have a lot of money left. Is it Trent or Salah that I'm going with? And I think you know, but everyone else might not know, but it is actually Mo Salah. But as you can see, he's much further down in the draft than you. You had him as number 2 pick. For me, it's number 12 because I'm really unsure still if I want to go with Salah, be a bit differential, or if I want to go template and go with Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I just feel like for me, with Salah, it's the Game Week 2 fixture against Bournemouth at home. The famous fixture where Liverpool beat them 9-0 last season and Salah got nothing. I think this time they could win 4 or 5-0 and he's going to get a lot of it. So that's why I'm interested in Salah still. That's why he's currently in my team, because I feel like I want to captain him in Game Week 2. Haaland plays against Newcastle away, which is a tough fixture. I haven't really checked. This is something I'm going to go in and check as well to see who was the highest scorer in a single game against Newcastle last season, because I feel like they rarely conceded more than 2 goals per game. So I feel like Haaland probably gets a goal against Newcastle, but I feel like Salah could get 3. And if I captain Salah rather than Haaland Game Week 2, that might be a huge advantage. But that's probably the one thing that I'm going to weigh up the most when it comes to who I pick out of Salah or potentially Trent. I might even go without Salah or Trent as well and just make the rest of the team a lot better. But yeah, for now it's Salah. But yeah, I might sell him. Like I said this before we started recording, that I might sell him in Game Week 3 still if I keep him. It's just the captaincy in Game Week 2 that is the allure for me. But I assume you as well, going with Salah, you're so sure about Salah, you're certainly going to captain him in Game Week 2, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So what do you feel like he can do against Bournemouth? Because they have obviously a new manager, Iraola. We're going to make a manager review of him as well in the guide eventually. But do you feel like that's a game that Liverpool will just destroy them in? Or do you feel like Iraola will be... He's a really good manager. I think we both rate him. So do you think they'll be able to be up to the task at Anfield? Or do you think Liverpool will win like 5-0?
Bournemouth suck, dude. No, I don't. I have no belief in them. I think their manager's great and all this type of stuff, but I think for Liverpool, it's all about sort of continuing what they did last year. Like, yes, it was a down year, but considering how they pick stuff up, I mean, a lot of people were like, Klopp out and Klopp should get fired, me included. Like, I still think that maybe Liverpool should switch things up a little bit, but not to say that's due to Klopp being a bad manager, but sometimes it is always good to sort of get a new manager in. I think Liverpool are going to come back with a bang, and I think, yeah, Game Week 2 is one of the main reasons why I have Salah, but also because I just think Salah is going to be a good season keeper. We said it last year. We didn't keep him, and then when I did keep him, he went ham. So yeah. So for me,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Salah's pretty nailed on. And I think it's a smart choice for you to have him as the outlier because if you do get rid of him, you can afford Kane, you can do this, you can do that. So it's a smart choice to not be so dependent on him. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty dependent on him. I think he's going to be great.
Yeah. I think it's very easy to downgrade Salah and get Trent back if it turns out that Trent is actually the better value pick. And I feel like for the first 2 game weeks, it's more important to have Salah because he has such a higher ceiling against Bournemouth at home in the second game week. Obviously, last year I think Trent got like 15 points against Bournemouth and Salah got 2 or 3. But I don't think that's going to be the case this season. So I feel like maybe for the entirety of the season, maybe Trent is better value than Salah. But in terms of the first 2 fixtures, I think Salah is much higher value because I think the value of Trent is the fact that he's so consistent. He keeps getting 6, 8, 6, 8, 6, 6, 9, sometimes 12. But with Salah, you have that explosive potential that Trent doesn't have. So that's why I feel like I'm currently leaning towards having Salah to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Salah in means that I don't have much money left. I have only 15 left for the 3 final positions. And that means I'm going to go with more of a cut price striker. And I've already mentioned him this video already. And it is Juan Vissa. I'm actually, like I said, I stopped you when you said Spurs at home in the first match might not be the best game because I feel like that's going to be a fantastic game for Brentford. So I really want to double up. Like I feel like both those guys can score a lot of goals in that game. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in going with Wissa. I wish I had more money to get someone else. I'm going to get to that eventually to talk about that. And Kunku is also someone I'm considering as well, like you have. But like I said, I think Nkunku's first 2 fixtures are enough to put me off to wait a little bit. So maybe I just do Salah for the first 2 games. I can sell him and get someone like Nkunku in, and then eventually Trent in. That might be my go-to. But yeah, what do you feel about Vissa in general? Do you think he's a good pick?
Yeah, I think he's a good pick. I think at 6.0 as well, it's very good. He showed flashes of brilliance every time he played, and I actually feel sort of sorry for him that he's second string. I think he could easily be a starting striker at most, like not most Premier League clubs, but in the sense of like I take him at Everton, yeah, 100% sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't say no to him at West Ham either. So
he always scores against us, so yeah.
yeah. So in the sense of like, I think he's got the caliber to be a starting striker. So yeah, definitely, I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, and there's only 2 players left. I have my 4.5 goalkeeper, and that is a guy we mentioned already, and a guy that plays for the same team as Wissa and Mbeumo, and that is Flecken. I feel like he is going to be the starting goalkeeper for them. He was potentially like top 3 Bundesliga goalkeepers last season, like really good in the Bundesliga. And it seems like he's going to be the preferred starter now, even if Raya stays on. It feels like Raya's going to be sold, but again, the options are drying up for Raya, so maybe he stays. But I think even still, it seems like Flecken is the guy they're going with. But that's my biggest concern with Flecken is if Raya stays there, and for some reason, maybe he changes his mind, Raya, and he stays. Who knows, really? But I'm pretty sure Flecken is going to be the starter, and if he is, I think he's a really good goalkeeper. Starting goalkeeper, especially with Brentford's easy opening fixtures. So yeah, I basically only have 1 defender left. I actually have 4.5 in the bank, but I quite like having 0.5 extra in the bank for game week 1 because I feel like that makes me more secure when it comes to price rises. I don't have to worry about someone racing in price. So for example, if I want to go from let's say if I want to go from Gabriel to Stones, and Stones is about to go up in price to 5.6 and Gabriel is 5.0, I don't have enough money if I want to go from Shaw to Stones, they're the same price, and Stones goes up to 5.6, then I don't have enough to get him. But if I have 0.5 in the bank, I can still do that transfer. I don't have to do the early transfer in game week 2 to make sure that I have him. I still have a little buffer, so that's why I sort of like it. I also like to not do transfers in game week 2 and have 2 saved up for game week 3. So that's probably my tactic. But yeah, final defender, 4.0. You got any inkling who I'm going to pick as a 4.0 defender?
Maybe an Everton center back that I mentioned.
He is actually in contention. Currently, it's not him, but Branthwaite is the one you mentioned, and he's super in consideration for me because I feel like he's going to be the starter for them. I have predicted him as a starter for Everton, but I'm still not 100% sure. Obviously, like I said, Cody has left. Holgate is going out on loan now, it seems like. And Yeremina has left as well. So there's only Tarkovsky who's nailed 100%. And then you have Keane and Godfrey. But yeah, Godfrey might play left back as well. We both know that Mikolenko is not the best left back, sorry to say. So Godfrey might play left back, and we both know Michael Keane is terrible. So I think actually Branthwaite is a really good shout. But at the moment, he's not 100% nailed to be starter. Meanwhile, this guy from Burnley, Jordan Beyer, he is 100% nailed. He didn't play all matches last season. He came late in the season. He didn't play the first 10 matches because he came on loan after 10 matches. Then he had some slight injury issues midway through the season, but apart from that, he played every single game. And from what I hear from Burnley fans, they rate him so highly. Like, they say like he's like one of the best players we've ever had. And mind you, these guys had Tarkovsky and me back in the day, who are proven Premier League defenders. And they say he's amazing. Obviously, FPL, he's not that amazing. He scored 1 goal, had 1 assist last season, so don't really expect that much. But I feel like Burnley also have a better chance of having clean sheets than Luton as well. So that's why I prefer Beyer over Bell. But I know it's sort of like a 50-50 among FPL experts, if they want to, or content creators, if you want to prefer to use that word, between Beyer and Bell. But I think both Baldock and Beyer are better than Bell at the moment. But saying that, I feel like Bell is still a decent shout. But yeah, that's my whole team. So what do you think of my team? I have 0.5 in the bank. Is there anything? Obviously, you would change it to your own squad because that's currently your squad. But anything that you are sort of iffy about when it comes to my team?
Not really. I think I like that you padded the team better than I have, because you sacrificed Nkunku, for example, which saves you 1.5, which lets you put 1.5 elsewhere. So I don't really have any big things, but I think it is very brave of you to have 3 Brentford players. That is very much, I'm on the Brentford train. That's the only sort of, it's not negative, but it's just more like you don't have 3 players from any other team, but you do Brentford. That's a statement. That means you believe very strongly in their first 4? Because their first 4 is pretty decent. But yeah. That being said, Spurs bought a goalkeeper. Again, refer to our guide because I wrote a very in-depth player review about the goalkeeper that Spurs bought, who's much better than Hugo Lloris in many ways. So it'll be very interesting to see just how the first game goes. Personally, I think it might be a high-scoring draw because, again, if Kane is still at Spurs, he's 100% going to play the game and all this type of stuff. There's no way where Harry Kane sits out because he wants to leave, sort of thing. Yeah. So I'll be very interested to see, and that's probably the reason why I didn't triple up or all this type of stuff. But that being said, I do like Bournemouth. I do like Brentford's games against Fulham, Crystal Palace, and Bournemouth. That game week 3 and 4, those fixtures look amazing. So for that, that's maybe the only negative I can give you. I think otherwise, a lot of your players look good. Gabriel is maybe the only other question mark, and Baldock as well. I've seen a lot of Sheffield United fans seem to think that Baldock's not gonna play much next year, but I don't know. I've heard conflicting things. Yeah, so
depends who they get.
Yeah, but other than that, I think it's a pretty well-balanced team. I think the lack of Everton players is disrespectful. Other than that, yeah, I think it's very interesting. I also think it's very cool that for 6.0, you could actually make Wissa into Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Not in my mind. Evan Ferguson is the one that I'm considering if he plays, but that's I feel like Wissa is the best 6.0 striker by far. Personally.
Personally, when Calvert-Lewin comes back and scores 14.
You hate Calvert-Lewin. You don't like him. You want to sell him.
I do because he's always injured. But you know what? My man's announced that his partner is pregnant, so maybe fatherhood will change
Maybe.
his injury history and life, hopefully for the better. But I am looking at Calvert-Lewin whenever he's fit, because that's the thing. When he's fit, he scores, and he has done that. I mean, hell,
When he's fit.
Brighton got when Brighton lost 5-1 at home, which none of us expected. Calvert-Lewin was the catalyst, and
Yeah.
again, against Crystal Palace, he scored. Against this guy, he scored. So, and Everton don't have the worst fixtures. So,
Yeah, I mean, there is a
but
chance that I get an Everton striker for 6.0, and there's a chance that you have him on the back of your shirt as well, but that's only if the transfer happens, and if the rumors are true that Everton are after Mikel Antonio and he's your starting striker, then yes, I would have an Everton striker probably if he's the starting striker for Everton, but that's the only way. I'm not going to touch Calvert-Lewin. I'm probably not going to touch Reece James either, just because of the injury issues. But that's the other interesting 4.0 defender potentially, and that's Malo Gusto. He's priced at 4.0, which is crazy, because when Reece James gets injured, Malo Gusto is the starting right back, and for 4.0 for Chelsea, who are probably going to be resurgent, and he's not the worst player either, attackingly.
no,
like
he's
FPL
very
wise.
talented. Yeah.
So yeah, we should actually write a review for him as well. So that's something we should do. But yeah, just wanted to do quickly, just like if I go without Salah, I know that's a big if, but this is sort of what I was thinking of doing. So this is a player we haven't really mentioned that much so far, but Gabriel Jesus is a really popular pick, and that's the player I feared the most going without if I have Salah.
Of course.
So he is definitely in consideration. Obviously, the other one is Trent. He's probably someone I would pick if I didn't have Salah. And that will leave 7.0 for a midfielder. And for that price, I think, like I mentioned, I think Eberechi Eze is super overlooked so far. Like everyone was so hyped about him at the end of last season, and he's priced at 6.5, which is nothing. Like he's super cheap. And their fixtures, sure, they have 3 away games in the first 4, but they're not difficult fixtures. It's Sheffield United away, which you could easily score that. Arsenal home is difficult, of course. But then you have Brentford away, slightly-ish difficult, maybe. The Wolverhampton at home, which is good. Villa away, could score. They concede some goals. Fulham at home. Like, they don't have the worst fixtures, but people are completely against, or not completely against, but Eze is not considered as much as Mitoma or Mboemo at all, or even some other midfielders. Another guy I was considering was Jacob Ramsey, but he got injured. 6.0, I think he could have been a good pick as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this would be my team. If I went without Salah, I'd have probably Eze, potentially. Maybe I go with some 7.0 midfielder instead as well. Let's see.
You know what? What becomes funny about your team there is that your team becomes too strong.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'd have Baldock and Uyo as my bench, but then yeah, like I said, I'd have to bench someone huge. I could potentially do someone like Chilwell or something here, because they have a difficult match against Liverpool in the first match.
Sure.
And have him as like the bench guy for the first match, and then rotates. Having like a strong bench isn't the worst either. But yeah, that would still leave me with Eze, potentially even Gibbs White, because he has poor fixtures but is a good player. But yeah, there are some options I can go with for sure. Eze, yeah. So I think something like that could be interesting as well. But yeah, I could also drop Trent, but there's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes, and our drafts are going to change so much by the end of the season. So I think we could just wrap it up here. Yeah. Thank you for being here again, Kevin. We're going to have more videos coming up. I'm actually traveling pretty soon on vacation for like a week, going up in like the northernest part in Norway. Probably going to go visit to the actual like northern point in Norway, because it's going to be right close by. But I'm going to make a lot of videos in the next 2 days that I'm going to publish throughout my stay on vacation. So it's still going to be a lot of content. And we're both going to update the FPL guide that we have on the videoscope.com/FPL guide. So please check that out if you're new, if you haven't seen that before. There's a lot of traffic from that site. I'm going to post the latest video at the top of the guide every time, and it actually helped a lot with our first video. I think it's up to like 500 reviews now, which is decent for us. So yeah, anything you want to say about the guide? Anything you'd like to see in the guide personally, if you want to write it yourself, or you want to see me write it, or something? You have any good ideas for the guide that we can do?
Yeah, but I'm not going to reveal it here. You're going to
Okay.
have to come to the guide and see.
Nice. But yeah, as always, I leave you with the last word. So yeah, any parting words, Kevin?
Make Lukaku great again, if that's something I can say, because
Fair
I
enough.
really like his pricing, especially if he stays in the
7.0.
Prem 7.0, and if he gets to play for Chelsea or gets loaned within the Premier League stratosphere, because there's so many clubs that would need a striker at Man United. It'd be interesting to see. So make Lukaku great again, because everyone's been dunking on him, and he's one of my favorite players. So could you stop? Could we not talk about the Champions League, this and that? Whatever he's done for Belgium, and another time in the Champions League where he should have just ducked, but got dunked on. So stop hating on Lukaku, man. I love that guy. Stop it.
Add Richarlison to that list as well.
Stop! I didn't even discuss
No,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Both of your favorite strikers are like the most maligned players in the whole entire footballing world right now.
I'm bringing Charleston into my team. What is he a midfielder this
Yeah,
year?
he's a midfielder.
100%. Bring him in. Bring it.
Yeah.
And Nkunku, get the hell out of here. I'm bringing in Richarlison. It's over. And I'm bringing in Lukaku. I hate you all.
But yeah, those sound like, if Kane leaves Spurs as well, who knows with Richarlison. So those sound like potentially game-breaking players, and that might be a video that's coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I took the last word now, so sorry, Kevin, but that's just how it goes this time around. But anyways, see ya. Bye.